This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All-Star Season 9, Episode 2, titled The Paintball. My name is Joe Batanz, and I am joined, as always, by one Wait, hold on, this is a hard one.
Sesquipedalian.
Thank you, Sesquipedalian.
And also, how is it always? It's been a while.
Not Robert.
Gotcha.
From Rulaska Thoughts, please say...
How rude.
To Mr. Roberto Mata.
Hey, hot mama, what's up? I've never been to the circus.
Neither have I. I'm too busy running one. I can't think of anything more ironic than you helping me say sesquipedalian.
You'll get there.
For those of you, everyone should Google that. It's someone who likes to use big words. Did you ever hear my little shout outs to you?
Of course. I mean, anytime I hear the name Robert while I'll listen to the podcast while I'm showering or cooking or driving, I can't help but turn my head to the side like I heard my name screamed out at the club. So thanks for that. I'm getting some neck workouts in.
Yeah. Anyway, Robert Mata and I were here. We actually had a real episode of Just Between Us Girls that was not recorded.
It was truly Just Between Us Girls.
Just Between Us Girls. There's no level that gets it. We had a long talk. And it was, you know what? Just Between Us Girls was about 15 minutes, and this one was about 15 minutes of just talking about behind the scenes tea and drama. But if you want to hear shows like Just Between Us Girls, if you want to hear shows like The Tea and other great bits of RuPaul's, now that you're getting the Afterthought Host Lounge, Robert, are there shows that you like more than others?
Well, I'm a pretty big fan of Rulaska Thoughts. There's some pretty sharp guys on that one.
Yeah, which unfortunately we have a guest co-host next week because you're not going to be here.
No, I'm going to be abroad.
Yeah, he's not going away. He's actually going to turn into a woman. But he used an old 1940s term for a woman.
I've heard men use it, not like, feminist men, but I've heard men use the term.
I've heard older men use the term to describe, the old people describing like a woman who was really brassy and brash.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Remember, you can get a 7-day free trial. Remember, you can also sign up on Apple Podcasts, all kinds of shows. I love how Robert just stuck to his own show as his favorite show.
I mean, obviously the tea is great. What happened to Happy Hour? Do you remember that?
That was during the summer.
Oh, it was a brief little shindig? Oh.
Yeah. I don't remember why, but it was during the summer. The Happy Hour was good, though. Happy Hour, that was a good one. There was some good shit that happened there. Anyway, this week, the girls bring some color to the runway in the paintball. On the runway, the girls present 3 looks, with one of the looks made from scratch in the workroom. On the main stage, Gottmik and Plastique Tiara are placed in the top 2 and forced to lip sync for their charities. In the end, Gottmik won the lip sync and the right to snip one of the dolls, her choice, Angeria Paris Van Michaels. Roberto Mata, what did you think of this lip sync, and did the right person get snipped?
Oh, so we're starting from the end and then we're going to make our way to the beginning?
This is really uncomfortable. We've been doing this since like the beginning of last season.
I guess that's true. I was just making sure.
Here's why. Maybe we haven't ever explained on here why.
No, why?
I found, well, first of all, I was tired of the 2 things you like and 1 thing you didn't.
Okay.
I was tired of that. And then I often found that by the end of the show, I just wanted to get off the fucking air, and I didn't want to have a long conversation about the lip sync. So it'd be like, oh, they lip sync, bye, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, that's shortchanging the lip sync. So let's talk about that now.
For sure.
And then
I feel like this lip sync could have been shortchanged, to be honest with you. But I will say I am not a Beetlejuice fan, so I don't have like any strong ties to this number.
Now, maybe I'm wrong here, right? I haven't seen Beetlejuice in years, but if in my head, it's the Banana Boat song. It's Deo.
Is that
it's
true?
Not the. I don't
know that.
But maybe there's more than one.
Probably.
Maybe there's more than one number in the thing, but the one where they're dancing around the table. And by the way, you're not the only one who has said this. A few people have said this on Discord, have said it online, but I believe it's the Banana Boat song. And maybe you can fact check me. But you're not the only person who says so. I could be wrong. Well, there's a movie that's out right now that I despise.
Back to Black.
I'm seeing that on Wednesday. Called I Saw the TV Glow.
Okay.
But my friends and I seem to be the only ones who hate this movie. It has a lot of love. I have theories about that, but
because you're a contrarian.
Yeah. In fact, I was writing for the Roberto Times which that's the assignment.
I feel like it'd be more like the Robert Chronicle.
I think it'd be the Mata Herald.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Anyway, but you don't like this song.
Okay. So the reality is that they were singing Nina West's song.
Yes.
And I'm very confused about all of it because it was a ball challenge. The producers knew Nina West wasn't going to win that challenge, so why set up the campy comedy shticky number for two queens who were more than likely going to be skinny fashion queens? I didn't follow why they did that. But I thought Gottmik did prove that she is now a much more competent lip syncer. Obviously, those years out performing with Violet has taught her a thing or two. So that's, I think, pretty great. I enjoyed her lip sync. I'm not quite sure what Plastique was doing, but hopefully she'll get a more dancey number in the future to show us what she can do. You know? What did you think?
It's close along the same lines. Based on what you said also, it's not unheard of for them to change the lip sync song last minute. So I don't know why they didn't. Seen where it was going to go. Because they couldn't have chosen two less likely people to do this number.
To turn it out.
That is like if all the cast members, those are the last two you'd want to see do that number. And they didn't know what to do with the number. Gottmik just slightly gave it like at least somewhat trying to be funny edge, where Plastique was just treating it as a very serious song and just sort of like feeling her oats.
And good for her.
Song.
Good for her.
And yeah, it was not a good lip sync. You know, and it was not a good song. It wasn't a good lip sync song either. Like, yeah, it was. Cause even saying for Nina is kind of a stretch. This is for like Jinx and Jimbo.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But I think Nina tries to emulate that kind of clowny campishness.
True.
But I don't know if she really actually has that in her.
No, she has a foot in her mouth.
Well, better her than me today.
Oh, by the way, correction. People, I have been corrected.
Oh.
That on Kitty Girl, Kennedy goes first, then Shangela, then BB, then Trixie.
When you were going on that rant with Taylor last week, this morning, whenever, I didn't know that Kitty Girl had stands like that could tell you about the order. Read you, wrote you. Yeah, I believe that.
Girl.
Category is, yeah, I believe that. Kitty Girl? Who's lining up for the MP3 release of Kitty Girl?
I'm telling you right now, there are weird stands about everything. Jeremy had me challenge him yesterday, actually, to a difficult drag race quiz. I don't remember why this came up, but how he would do
High Tops trivia night.
Well, that's actually how it came up. But I think he was a week late. He didn't make it for that drag race trivia thing by a week. But so I gave him one, and some of these we had to change quizzes, and I said I'm not even sure Robert would get it. It was like what type of fabric did this person wear on the lip sync? And I was like, who knows this?
Yeah. I'm not terribly confident about that either. Mostly because I can't tell the difference between velvet and velour.
Yeah. Well, that's I'd have to find the quiz again, but it was one of these things where like even because they were like there's some where it's like and I don't know how far your trivia knowledge goes, and he got a lot of them, but it would be like what arm is Sasha Velour using to write her, and you're like, who knows this? Why would anyone know this?
That's I think once I went very confidently to a Harry Potter trivia, and then they wanted the most obscure shit, like what was the last word of chapter 32 of the Order of the Phoenix? It's like, okay, well, if it's a story or factoid or trivia bit, okay. But if it's just randomly you close your eyes, open a page, chose something, some minute detail that has absolutely nothing to do with anything, that's purely for people with eidetic memories.
I think we're going to have though, I think we're getting close to like a drag race trivia bowl.
I'm down.
You, Evan, Jeremy thinks he can play. I will say, like, Jeremy and I will be talking, and he will have he'll pull out this random who knows this? Why does he know this?
Well, sometimes you'll say that, and the answer is Bosco was in the final 5 of season 14, and you'll be gagged.
Oh yeah, because I forgot who Bosco was. Like I'm not even joking you, and I haven't looked him up. And I don't know what to say. I'm sure this is saying some sort of weird transphobia I have. But Bosco and Jasmine Kennedy are the same season, right?
They are the same season, yes. But half the people were trans on that season.
On both of them, I see Jasmine Kennedy.
Oh, no, they look pretty different.
Okay, I have to look her up.
They look very different, actually. Especially
in
now.
In my head, they look the same. I'm looking her up. I'm looking up Bosco. Drag queen.
Maybe you just think all skinny white queens look the same, Josito.
I'm looking at a picture of her. She looks like Jasmine Kennedy.
I don't know. I've never thought they look alike, actually. Jasmine Kennedy looks more like a sort of Walmart Alyssa Edwards, though she looks much better now.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're actually going to talk about the episode. We'll be back right after this.
Dear Colgate, I love that you love that I love being at home. You even let me whiten my teeth from home. Because you know how I feel about getting up from my cloud couch. The Colgate Optic White LED Kit gives professional-level results in just 10 minutes a day for 10 days when used as directed. And that's why, Colgate, I want you to meet my parents. Because ever since meeting you, I've been living life to the brightest. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
After the lip sync, Georges learns she also won a badge and shares that she would have cut Nina West. Later, Roxy enters the room and playfully spars with Angeria. And finally, the girls share their fears about getting the cut. The next day, RuPaul enters the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge. It's the paintball, and the girls will present 3 looks as follows. They are going to present Monochromatica. They're going to do one color. The outfit's one color. Drag imitates art, so they're going to have an outfit that's inspired by a piece of art or an artist. And then paintball eleganza, and this is basically where they take a piece of blank white fabric and turn it into a piece of art that's also wearable art. Let's stop right here. Did you have any big thoughts with Robert Mata on everything that happened after the lip sync, everything that happened here?
You know, I realize they need to fill screen time, and maybe this is like residual fatigue from All-Star 7, but I don't really understand them trying to play up this idea that Angeria is shady for blocking Roxy. Yeah. I like it, it is also on Angeria, who's the most goofy, silly queen of them all. You know, like I don't think I've ever even heard her say anything that could be construed or misconstrued as shade. So that edit just didn't track for me. Yeah. But I think picking Roxy is definitely the most obvious choice. So yeah. As far as the conceit of that conversation went, I was just like, who cares? Duh. Mm-hmm. That's where I was at. And I didn't understand during that why the conversation shifted to Nina West. But that's sort of a recurring theme this episode. Forgive me, I don't mean to be a hater, but I just don't understand why she's more or less the main character.
I agree with you.
I think it's something I kind of clocked with Tia Coffee very early on in UK versus the World 2. So I'm a little scared if that means that Nina West is going to be pushed to the end to win, because there's no other reason for Nina West to get so many talking heads and so much focus, especially on an episode that she flopped.
I mean, flopped. I mean,
tragic.
I think it's a level above the gift bag dress.
That rainbow thing, what? No one stepped in. None of the producers said, we can't give bad critiques, so don't give us something that should be critiqued badly.
But that's the problem, and this is what I'm going to get to, is no one is going home, okay? And they also, having seen season 7, know that at some point, probably at the end, there's going to be a weird grab bag of badges just given out to even the playing field.
Yeah.
So what are the stakes? What are the stakes exactly?
Well, there aren't any, and that's been called out since the cast was leaked and the format was leaked. It's just, where's the momentum?
And they're not even winning money. At least in All Stars 7, there was a money thing. Now they're not. They've already been paid. It's done.
I do suspect they're going to come out with some final announcement of some additional prize. I don't know anything in that respect, but I would assume they're going to create some stakes, hopefully. On that flip side, I did appreciate that they clarified that just because you block someone, it doesn't mean that the charity can't win $10,000, because that did feel a little rhetorically off. Although if that was the case, I would have blocked fucking Vanjie and her little cats and dogs every week. I think that's the stupidest thing. Have you haven't discussed it on the podcast, have you, Joe?
No.
What do you think about this dogs? Like, it really kills me that Plastique, as an Asian person, is doing an Asian foundation. I think Angeria, was she doing a black foundation? All the Latinos said, nah, fuck the Latino community. And Vanjie went a step further and says, I'm going to do cats and dogs instead.
I have the list of who they're fighting, who they're playing for. Angeria is doing... Where is Angeria? The National Black Justice Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the Trevor Project, you have National Alliance for Mental Illness, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Yeah, they're fighting for people. And you have a problem because she's fighting for animals.
I wish Taylor was here, because I do have a question about the Society of Depression and Anxiety. What is that? Is that like a militia? Is that like a group who's gathering around and talking about their feelings? What the fuck is that? The name is so strange.
Some sort of like a Jerry Seinfeld routine.
No, not today.
What? What is this?
I just think it's named so weirdly.
What?
I just think the society is named so strangely. It's not like the society against or the society working to rid the world of anxiety and depression. It's just the Society of Anxiety and Depression.
What? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Can you imagine the people who are part of this society? By the way, this is coming from someone who suffers from depression and anxiety.
Welcome to the party, mama.
Yeah. But like, can you imagine going to one of those meetings?
Well, I imagine it's probably no different
depressing.
from like Twitter and Tumblr, where everyone makes their diagnoses their personality.
Well, it
their
seems
identity.
to be a whole rash now. Everyone thinks they're autistic.
Well, you can go on that tangent yourself, girl,
Why?
because I'm not contributing to that.
I think I'm autistic.
Well, then talk to a professional and get a screening.
So autistic that's where you are afraid of them?
I'm not afraid.
Well, you were attacking the depression and anxiety people.
I was not attacking them. I was just saying that there are many people online who internalize it externally. Maybe externalize is just
I
a
get a
better way
lot
to
of
say
those
that.
on my algorithm. Right now, what I'm getting a lot of my algorithm is avoidant attachment and how to deal with a person who has avoidant attachment issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's thrown around like the narcissistic personality disorder was thrown around 5-10 years ago. You know, pop psychology has given us all these terms that no one knows how to actually use them.
In the workroom, the girls get to work on their outfits. Roxy Andrews, as an experienced seamstress, helps the girls who are struggling with their outfits. Later, Vanjie and Plastique bond over their childhood experiences. And finally, Shannel lends a helping hand to Georges, who struggles with the stenciling of her dress. Later, RuPaul enters the workroom for some table visits. Gottmik is going for some punk rock vibes. Shannel shares her obsession with Christmas. Nina feels relieved she can't be eliminated. That's a weird thing to say, by the way. Plastique discusses her backstory, and Vanjie thinks the online auction house is named eBay. Okay, lots to discuss here. First, let's talk about everything that happens in the workroom. The workroom segment's actually very long. I boiled it down to it, so you might have a bunch of thoughts. It's like very long, and yet nothing happened.
Chanel's house is a fucking nightmare.
That was a nightmare. I can't
It's all I
believe
could
people in
think
that
of.
house.
I think I was horrified for the rest of the episode. I've never seen anything so gaudy, garish, and overdone. And I know that is Shannel. I've seen pictures of Chanel's house outside of the supposed 6-month Christmas decoration season. So the other 6 months. And it's almost equally ostentatious.
But she said that people like hire her and she consults and all this stuff.
Well,
Who's
yeah,
hiring her?
she does Rams Stadium. They're like, the Rams football, the NFL's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get this hella gay guy to just pimp out our stadium with Christmas trees.
Yeah, it was sort of frightening. Anyone who's that into anything like that, where they have a house full of Christmas, I don't get it.
It's giving unresolved trauma.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds like something. You know what doesn't get talked about enough is, I think it was over here like in West Covina, and I'm gonna get some facts wrong, but on like Christmas Day, like somebody dressed as Santa and went and like murdered a whole fucking family and like burned the place. It's like a weird ass story. I want to say it was like between 5 and 10 years ago.
Okay.
It was crazy. And then you know what else they got rid of? That was one of my favorite like LA tour places to go, but it's gone now. Did you ever go to the Los Feliz murder house?
No.
You know about this?
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh my God. It was so, they only got rid of it a few years ago. Finally, they sold it. But in the 50s, okay, in the 1950s, this doctor, and then like, again, like, I don't know if it's necessarily Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but it's Christmas time. The house is decorated for Christmas.
A doctor of what?
Pepper. I don't know. I don't know what kind of doctor he was. I wasn't doing a whole book report on this. But he goes into his house with like a hatchet or something crazy and like starts to murder his entire family.
Okay.
And the daughter gets away.
Okay.
And I think the cops, I don't know if they arrest him or kill him or whatever, but it's a horrible, horrible, tragic slasher film type event, right?
Was he also in a Santa suit?
No, but they boarded up the house, locked it away. And I'm telling you, up until like 2 or 3 years ago, it was frozen in time.
Interesting.
Frozen in the 50s with the Christmas presents, and a tree. You can look it up in on Google and stuff like that. And they did the family, the one descendant person or like a Mexican family bought it like in the 80s. Some weird ass story with that.
Why the Mexicans?
They just barely sold it. But up until then, these have all kinds of security, so you couldn't go in. But people would try and go in and peek in the windows. It's very, very creepy. because they have, people have taken pictures and the house is just frozen in the 50s, the night of the murder. And I used to take people by there. Everyone was too chicken, including me, to go peek inside the house. But mine was more out of like fear of being arrested. I have more of a fear of being arrested than of ghosts, you know. But that was kind of the thing to do. The Los Feliz murder house. Google it. It's very creepy. And they actually, right before they sold it, they did like the LA Times did like a piece on the owner where they interviewed him and stuff like that. And he was kind of a character too. Again, I have to repeat this. Is it very obvious that we have nothing to talk about with these episodes? I
have notes. We just always turn left.
Oh, give me more notes from the workroom.
I just need to loop back. I just think that house is crazy. How do you serve food in that house? How do you walk through that house? How do you run inside after a gym session, shower, and then run back out to work after that in that house? How do you have a cat or a dog or a fish or a lizard?
Where do you put all the money you steal from people who got audiences' purses?
Very that. Where do you put your massive portrait of the Great Wave of Kanagawa? Because it's clear Shannel's such a random fucking stan. Yeah. Shannel's a mystery, dude. I don't know what it is with that woman.
So you don't like Shannel? I know you like the old drag queens.
I do like Shannel. She's not like a favorite. You know, if I had to pick, like let's say 20 from everyone from season 6 and before, she would not be in that 20. You know, in All Stars 1, like there was just so much constant cringe from Shannel specifically. And I still do love that season. I know that that's, you know, not a commonly held opinion, but I adore All Stars 1. But Shannel does make me grit my teeth through it because she says some really, really silly shit. But I still like her, and I'm still happy that she's on this season. I'm excited for her to win a challenge so that I can like see her shine. In the same way that they're like trying to make fucking Nina West shine, even though she's not actually performing like that yet.
Yeah. So what are some of your other notes?
They're not too relevant. They're not too important, rather. They're just, you know, Shannel's house is a nightmare. I think that Nina West should not be on Drag Race. She should be hosting Blue's Clues. I just, like, all of her confessionals are just, like, so damn goobery and, like, I don't know. I did not mean to come onto this microphone and be like, I hate Nina West, because I really don't. I actually appreciate her activism very much. It's just not jiving with me this season.
Do you think Vanjie's bald?
I haven't thought about it until now.
When they were waiting for Rue to walk down the staircase, they showed a close-up of her, and she has like a very clear like wig line. This is when she's dressed as a boy.
I'm trying to remember her hairstyles from previous seasons, and I feel like, did she have a buzz cut in season 10?
You're asking. I didn't even know Bosco existed. You're asking me.
Yeah, good point. Regardless, you and Taylor already mentioned this, so I don't have to harp on it, but Vanjie's fourth wall breaking, it is way too overproduced. Granted, it is Vanjie, so how else would we expect her to be? But when she's not screaming and yelling for no discernible reason, I quite enjoy her. So I'm happy that in this episode she toned it back down a little bit.
What do you think it's like when if you're like Vanjie's friend, like you're just a real friend, a real Judy, and she calls you and she's depressed? You know, like what do you think that sounds like?
Oh, it's so sad, girl. It's sad tears of a clown.
But is she still doing that voice? She's still like, yeah, I'm just not really feeling up just doing anything. I just lie in bed and just go on scroll TikTok all day, and I just got to go to Chuck E. Cheese and just do my thing. And it's just, I don't know, it's real hard. Sometimes I just wonder, like, you know, it's just been like 5 years since I've been on the show, and it just seems like I go to a gig on the weekends and I just spend the week doing nothing. I go to another gig, and next thing you know, 5 years have passed. I still haven't even gotten over being cut.
I think that's significantly more introspection than Vanjie has probably ever done in her life.
What the fuck you talking about? What kind of friend are you?
Girl, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Her whole shtick this season is, without saying it, she's pretending that she's like a thoughtless no thoughts, head empty himbo. Like the whole Eve thing.
Aren't we all pretending?
No.
And then also like the why did she say foyer again?
Yes. Yeah. Instead of saying her forte, she said foyer.
It's my foyer.
Yeah.
But this is what makes me sad is why do everybody say, like, when Alyssa has her little malapropisms, everybody's like really just supports Alyssa, but no one ever supports Vanjie. Who warms the sun, Robert?
Look, the thing with Alyssa is that she's only done it a couple of times. Vanjie has, at least as far as the camera's shown us, she's doing it every other sentence, so it feels intentional.
Can somebody give me the phone number to the Society of Depression and Anxiety? I think I want to join that society.
Deadass, imagine going into one of those sharing circles and it's fucking Vanjie. Talking about how sad she was that she didn't find true love from her 24 Hours of Love show.
I went on a show for 24 hours of love. I couldn't find true love. Can you believe? What is wrong with me? Everybody wants to date Miss Vanjie. Nobody wants to date whatever my real name is. Anyway, and here's the thing. I want to make up with Alexis. I just can't find the right way in. Every time I try to have a meaningful conversation with her, it turns into accusations. And I think we need couples therapy.
Give it time, Vanjie.
All right, let's talk about... Exactly. I know Alexis and I will be okay. I know it. We're like family. That's how Latinos are. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. But I just can't find it. I tried apologizing to Alexis, and she was just, "You're wrong."
Well, maybe she's just hanging out with her cats and dogs.
Maybe her bald ass cat.
Too much.
Okay. Let's talk about the workroom. Let's talk about George's stencil. Okay.
An interesting thing.
It looked fine to me. I think what they were trying to get, it had like a texture to it that she didn't like, right? That's what it was?
Well, it was also ever so slightly crooked.
Oh, okay.
Which, if I were using a stencil on a dress, I'm sure that shit would be crooked.
Yeah.
You need more than just a piece of cloth on the floor and a stencil to make a, perfectly aligned outfit.
Yeah. No, I agree. Did you have any thoughts on the workroom, other things before we go to the table visits?
No. Okay, so this is a different part. Nope, I'm good.
So let's go to the table visits. We already discussed it, but I already read the synopsis. But did you have any thoughts on the table visits with RuPaul?
Pretty standard fare by the numbers. Everyone gets a moment to talk about their charity, which is nice and why it's important to them. Happy. I'm always happy when there's a trans person talking themselves up and like the Society of what's Gottmix?
Gottmix
charity
is the Trans Lifeline, which that
Trans
was a
Lifeline.
weird statement. She goes, "If that would have existed when I was coming out, it would have all been solved." I'm like, really?
She said it would have been so major.
Oh, okay.
Which I took to mean that it would have helped at least a little bit. And I always enjoy watching RuPaul's face when a trans person is talking about trans issues. Because I never know how she's going to react.
Well, internally she's like calling her, but
no,
her face. It's so funny. You can always tell when RuPaul's not listening. She does this. She was like
the 500-yard stare.
Yeah, the 500-yard stare. She's like, she's thinking about that guy off in the canoe or whatever, falling in the ocean.
Mm-hmm. And the ever so slight head nod. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just not thinking about. She's thinking about what she's going to do later. I like how Shannel is like worried about going over the top, and RuPaul's like, no, lean into the Shannel. And so Shannel leans into the Shannel, and then they're like, it was a little much.
For the design look in the end?
Yeah.
Well, it's because Shannel said she was going to go over the top, and all she gave us was a very excessively designed corset. And that's what Michelle called her out for.
Let me have my little thing.
It's a nice thing, Mama.
I don't know why Robert doesn't let me talk. He has to counter everything I say. On eBay, on Foyer, Robert's gay, all kinds of things.
Thank you.
Any other things in the table visit?
No, I'm good off the table visits, I gotta say. If they could shorten them in the show, I'd be happier.
Gottmix outfit puzzles Shannel, Nina's dress, puzzles everyone, and Gottmik and Vanjie become fast friends. Later in the workroom, Angira works on a backup dress and reveals that she was Team Jinx on season 5. Let's talk about everything that happened outside, back in the workroom. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so outside, Shannel gave us a sneak peek, or rather a throwback to her All-Stars 1 stand-up comedy moment where she said that she was a white woman stuck in a black man's body. She got it backwards in a weird way.
Yeah.
And then used what several people have called Q out 4 with the black scent. Like, the Shannel, that's another reason why Shannel's not like my favorite. It's difficult to hear her talk sometimes.
Yeah.
And she did that outside. We skipped over it, party, whatever. But in terms of things that clawed me, if I was Gottmik, I think for the rest of my life, I would forever cringe that there is a recording on television of me saying, that was a good one, Vanj. Oh my God. Especially because she's always sort of read for being a lapdog to people.
Yeah.
It was really unfortunate.
Well, it seems to be she's a lapdog for like very polarizing Latinos.
I mean, I don't know if Violet self-identifies.
She does have it in her, whether she self-identifies as or not. So
should I go text Gottmik?
Well, okay. We'll half point for Violet. Then you have this Candy Muse, and now this Vanjie. She likes polarizing Latinos.
Good point. That's an interesting through line. Well, she is, California.
Either way, she likes very polarizing personalities because she is glommed on, which I predicted. I predicted this. Thank you.
Well, yeah, you did. Let's see if it goes anywhere, though, because hopefully it ends at, that was a good one, Vanj. I don't know how it could get any worse than that.
I'm going to pull that for next time.
It's awful.
Now, later, back in the workroom, Angeria, like, they've been having this playful sparring, Roxy and Angeria.
It's
and
fun.
Then it is fun. And then she brings up that her drag mother was Team Roxy, but she was Team Jinx during the airing of season 5. Now, look, I think Roxy took it in stride, but that is a risky thing to fucking bring up, I feel, especially with someone you don't know as well. What do you think there?
Yeah, I thought it was, like I mentioned earlier, Angeria's kind of goofy and maybe not like the most socially apt ever, so it makes sense that she would kind of put her foot in her mouth like that.
Yeah. But
I think Roxy is a bad bitch and has probably heard that statement more times than anyone else has ever heard anything, Like I was rooting for Jinx on your season. Cool. So she definitely knows how to take that and run with it. And I thought her playful shade was really perfect for Roxy. She was allowing herself to show personality, but not let people think that she's still a mean bully, blah, blah, blah. And I actually thought it was a little contrived because I was like, I for one, I didn't know a single person rooting for Roxy in season 5. So I was surprised to hear that Angeria's drag bomb was. But then again, I think a lot of actual drag queens were rooting for Roxy since she's a drag queen's drag queen and she's Erica's daughter. So,
well, there also might have been a thought to that, Jinx did sort of come in sort of like shake up the system a little bit. And I think I don't think it was as clear that Jinx should win at the time. I don't remember. I was watching it then actually with Chris and Mercedes, and I would watch it every week together, but I don't remember what the feeling was at the time. You were what, like 3 years old? Or I don't know how old were you?
No, Hot Mama, I was 20. 19.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I've talked about this on our coverage of season 5. What was surprising to me is before I covered it for season 5, my memory made it seem like this lasted for episodes, but it's actually just one episode. And one moment in the episode. It wasn't like, no, by the way, they were kind of bitchy and dicky to Jinx the whole time, but the actual moment, the workroom moment, is just one episode. Am I wrong? I remember covering this and thinking, it's not that big of a deal.
I'd say from Roxy to Jinx, yes. Jinx. But it happens more so in the Untucked, but Coco Montrese is actually the first one to throw stones at Jinx and consistently does so throughout the season. And then eventually towards the end, Roxy starts vocalizing it as well. But you are right that as far as the main show's storyline's concerned, that didn't really come up until the courtroom drama.
Yes. Here's the deal. Ultimately, I have sympathy or empathy for a chubby Latino who has one bad moment and it fears that it will be judged for that one bad moment forever. It's runway day and the girls get ready for the runway. The girls for the main stage. I'm sorry. The girls pair up and bond as they apply their makeup. The pairing up does not go unnoticed as Shannel clocks that the other queens have paired up, leaving her with Nina by default. Meanwhile, Nina worries about getting cut, and the girls refuse to admit who has the worst outfit. It's Nina. Any thoughts here on runway day?
So to spare everyone a nostalgic journey through Bring It to the Runway, I will say that I was not sure if the Chromatica theme, Monochromatica, was an intentional tie-in to Lady Gaga's Chromatica, but I think some of the queens did take that note. Angeria's color story, Shannel's color story, Roxy's The Wiring, all those gave Chromatica, at least as far as the albums and Gaga's aesthetic is concerned, but it wasn't. I guess even Got Mixed was kind of Chromatica as well. Like, you know, like retro futuristic, but also still a little bit more in the alien side of things. It's a little confusing. I got the monochrome brief. I wasn't sure about the Chromatica brief. Did you think that was a part
runway
of it?
day? We're not talking about the looks.
I thought we were talking about the looks.
No, we're talking about the runway when they're getting ready for the runway.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, you can place that somewhere else.
No, I'm gonna leave it as it is.
Oh, you love when I make a mistake.
No, I don't. That's insane. You see, you're such a contrarian, Robert.
But I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I didn't
by the
refute
way,
anything.
I worked out with machines for the first time today. I had AI design my workout,
Yeah.
and I worked out with machines today. And I know
Party.
tomorrow I'll be able to walk.
When you
But,
say that you worked out with machines, do you mean that you pushed weight on machines or that you
Yes.
just had a machine make a routine for you?
And I had AI design the routine for me,
Okay.
and then I went and followed it at Planet Fitness.
Oh, groovy. That sounds great.
Yeah.
What
My
did you
U
do?
Health thing. Here, I'll tell you what I did.
Wait, yeah, sorry. We're podcasting. I'm over here
No,
left
I'm gonna do
turning.
it right now. What is this show, right? Let's see here. So,
What
today,
are your recommendations, girl? Egyptologist? Rain sounds for sleeping?
I'll
Pro
tell you, I'll
Chef's
explain
blind
that.
taste test?
I'll explain this all in a second.
Can Lord of the Rings ever be remastered?
I'll tell you that in a second. Leg press, seated row, chest
Love.
press, lat pull down, leg curl, leg
Okay.
extension, shoulder
Live.
press, and cable ab crunches.
Party. Yeah, you're going to be sore in a lot of weird, disparate places.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Okay. First, let me explain because I shared my screen, so it's my YouTube page, and here's why my recommendations are all kinds of fucked up. Here's why. Sometimes I go to sleep. I have a playlist of really, really, really boring documentaries,
Okay.
and I intersperse like every 2 or 3 documentaries with like 10 hours of like rain sounds or spaceship sounds or something.
How much are you
So-
sleeping?
YouTube, I just want to make sure it's always covered. YouTube thinks all I want to watch are Egypt documentaries or rain sounds.
It's actually really rude that you've suggested that Egyptology is boring.
Actually, my go-to, the one that I watch the most is it's this British BBC show about life on a Tudor farm.
Yeah, that
they-
does sound boring. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and it puts me to sleep like that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, Robert. I'm gonna leave. Okay.
Okay.
I'm bringing it because you brought up Bring It to the Runway. We have our new
scared.
segment, Return to the Runway. I'm going to bring my old friend, my primo, Christian Ochoa, and you and he are going to review the looks. But here's the rule. Here's the rule. It can only be the length of time that the look. Once they go to the next look, we're moving on. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go checking some food. I'll be back. Christian's going to take over.
Toodaloo.
Hey, Gal.
Hey, doll.
I can't believe Joe's letting me host us. All right, first we have Angeria Paris Van Michaels. She's wearing, it's giving Michelangelo Cristamini 2008 with a yellow dress and a white wig and opera-length gloves and baseball mitt boots. What did you think of this doll?
I thought it was giving watercress at the bottom of a plastic bag.
All right, next we have Shannel. She's wearing pink. It kind of reminded me of Versace 2011. What do you think, Robert?
It's not really pink. It's more of a magenta, but I thought that it fit the chromatic idea well.
Well, Robert, I can't explain art to you, but it's pink. All right, next we have Roxy Andrews. She's coming out in red. It's giving Andre Prager 2008. What do you think, Robert?
Like Prager as in PragerU?
Yep.
Okay.
He used to be in a fashion doll. I thought you knew this.
Who hasn't been once or twice? I like the wiring, but I do think that it's a bit messy for Roxy.
All right. Next, we have Gottmik wearing literally, and she openly says this, an outfit that it was in the runway, I think Versace 2023, that they let her use, much like Carrie Colby with the Jennifer Lopez dress. What do you think of this, Robert?
It's major. It's great. It's a good sleek look for sure.
I just love that they pretend like the dolls like just have this. Okay, now we have Nina West. She's also wearing pink. It's giving Dolly Levi, meet B. Arthur, meet Carol Channing. And she has a mask. What do you think here, Robert?
I'm sorry. Why the hell is it one sheet of like legal paper, pink in front of her face? That doesn't make any sense. That being like a metaphor for coming out of the closet made no sense. It was so flaccid.
Now we have Vanessa Vanjie. She comes in out in a green dress, which we know is not Michelle's favorite. It's like a little cocktail chain. Mama said, knock you out. Robert, what do you think?
I thought this was super cute, but didn't really fit the category of monochromatica. Michelle it doesn't make sense.
Next, we have Plastic Tiara. She's giving fierce Vietnamese flag. It's red with her little rice paper hat, just like Judy Jetson Hooker. What did you think, Robert?
I thought this was amazing, and the beginning of one of Plastique's several amazing hair pieces / wigs.
It is. I love, who doesn't love balls on their head? Next, we have Georges. She comes out dressed in marijuana kush green because this bitch loves to smoke. Because if it ain't green, y'all,
she ain't interested.
She ain't interested. What did you think, Robert?
I think it's... Speaking of people internalizing things as their identity, who the fuck is still making weed their personality in the good year of 2024?
That's what I'm screaming. Because of the people who go watch Challengers. Next, we have, if the next look, which is the art one, drag imitates art, we have Angeria Paris Van Michaels. She's doing, of course, my favorite artist, Mondrian. What did you think of this, Robert?
I thought that this might have been a backup look for season 14 that she just pulled out for this runway. It was just so not elevated for All Stars.
It is looking very pedestrian, and you could get it at Express. All right, next
Not
we
anymore.
have...
Express is closed.
That's even more reason why it wasn't good. Shannel of Hakusai, that wave painting that if they ever show Asian art, they have to show this. It's actually, I believe it's like a weird cut line art paper print thing. But what are your thoughts on this?
I just thought it was so out of left field, but I still love it. I thought that the boat could have used a little bit more engineering on the side, so it didn't look so floppy.
Next, we have Roxy Andrews giving an homage to Salvador Dali. She even has the mustache, and I guess she made this dress the way you're getting a print of the persistence of memory. I don't know. What did you think of this, Robert?
I think my favorite part were the sleeves. I'm happy that she made the Not a Sulkin Clock reference.
Yes.
Very cute. Roxy is the queen of references this season. She might as well be Lux or Anitra.
Next, we have Gottmik with a tribute to Edward Munch. Munch, I don't know how you say his name, but the scream. What did you think?
This one gagged everyone. swiping my contrarian card to say that I thought that it didn't need the actual Scream face on her hip, though the curvature does look awesome. But her face was this emulating the Scream face, so I don't know why we needed 2 Scream faces.
Girl, I was gagged. Next, we have Nina West with her thing. She's her tribute to Tama Finland. What did you think of this?
This was offensive to the homosexuality, LGBT history. This was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It just really fortifies my belief that Nina West is the farthest thing from sexuality, which, fits her goober aesthetic, but does not fit her foot fetish.
If you said fartist aesthetic, I would have agreed. Vanjie came out as her tribute to Vincent van Gogh. Your thoughts on this?
I would have never guessed Starry Night, that's for sure. But
No.
maybe that's just because it's abstract in a way that only Vanjie can comprehend. It's beyond
It's giving my grandma's, like, the thing she's have on top of the Kleenex on the toilet.
Very Luffy.
Next, we have Plastic Tiara, paying tribute to the artist Kusama. Thoughts here?
I thought this could have used a steamer on the polka dot serpent that
she's
encircles her.
right.
But my favorite part were the glasses with the lashes. I haven't seen enough of that. I want to see all the gays at Pride wearing those this year.
Oh, it's giving Lash. I love it. She's a doll. You can't clock the doll. And then finally, we have Georges with her tribute to Pablo Picasso. Your thoughts here? Even though I don't have to really give him Picasso besides the color, it's giving the Joker.
That's it. It's giving more like like mobster, like Zoot Suit than it is giving Picasso. It's really confusing, but I don't really go to Georges for intellectual references. So
there would have been a good opportunity for like if she could have like the makeup that kind of like the split face. That would have been really fierce.
Well, I don't know how she would have done that sandwiched between 2 other runways, though.
Oh, good point. Good point. Finally, we have Paintball Eleganza, where it was the design challenge part. We have Angeria, Paris, and Michael. She's coming out in like a yellow with an exposed shoulder. I'm making up terms. I don't know. She has this. What do you think of this, Robert?
I thought it was cute, but also seemingly pulled from her season 14 catalog.
Oh,
even if she made it herself.
Next, we have Shannel with her bodice. I don't know what these things are called, even though a fashion maven. What do you think of this?
Not fashion maven. I don't know that we've ever really seen Shannel in just a corset, so I guess she gets a pass for that, but it's not great, sadly.
Next, we have Roxy Andrews. Bitch, work. I love this. This was the moment.
Christian, are you saying that just because it's Roxy, or would it have been great on anyone else?
It would have been great on, I could see this on a Sasha Colby. I could see this on a Carrie Colby. I could see this on the Princess. A lot of the fiercest queens in history. Next,
the gradient
we have
was beautiful, yes.
Got Mick. Again, girl, gagged.
The hairpiece is incredible. The bangs are on the side, amazing. I adore Gottmik's face when she's not doing the all white face makeup. I know it's her trademark. I just personally don't dig it. I did not super see the hype with the actual garment itself, but I still think it's good.
Next, we have Nina West.
Mama.
Nina West in one of the worst outfits I've ever seen walk the runway.
What the fuck does pop art hair have to do with like pride float aesthetic? I don't get it. Opera length gloves though.
Opera legs gloves, mama. Next we have Vanjie, Vanessa Vanjie. What do you think of this, Robert?
She looked so beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know what she did with that cotton collection on her body, but her face and hair look amazing.
Yeah, her makeup, her face is beat for the gods. Out for the Puerto Rican flag, but not.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Plastique Tiara. I just didn't let you go on this.
I mean, this is phenomenal. Like, it is. How do I? It's the contouring is amazing. The cherry blossom painting on the train is incredible. Her makeup is beyond. Her hair is perfect. Her figure is extraterrestrial. Like it's pretty much perfect, right?
Yes. And then finally have George's with her print that she made with the stencil. What did you think of this?
I thought it was shockingly competent. Actually,
Yes.
she looked really cute.
Yeah. And she
I
ran
know
out
it's
of
just
time.
a bra, but hey.
I think she was going to make a top, but she ran out of time. But I think it looks great. It's actually very different for her, too.
Yeah, it's a very different silhouette. It is kind of giving me Kiki by the pool, which, I don't really see George's kikiing by many pools.
Well, Mama, I got to go. Joe's back. And, when she's hungry, she has to eat.
I hate
I'm
when
talking
you
about
make
Joe,
food
not
jokes
me.
about Joe, Christian, but I'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk later. Bye. Bye, Dom.
Bye, doll.
Deuces.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, Joe.
How did it go?
We had a very illuminating conversation about several sartorial decisions.
Here's what's funny is I would have thought when you guys doing like 3 different looks, 24 looks total, that it would have gone like 3 hours. That was done like in 10 minutes.
Well, I'm no one if I don't respect the timeline.
True. Back on the main stage, Plastique Tiara and Gottmik are chosen the top 2 queens of the week. As a result, they have to face each other in a lip sync battle for their charities. The song, Jump in the Line by Harry Belafonte. In the end, Gottmik is named the winner of the challenge and uses her bedazzled scissors to snip Angeria Paris Van Michaels. Roberto Mata, any final thoughts on the episode?
I do understand the storyline of blocking Angeria, but I think I would have blocked Nina West, knowing that Snatch Game happens so early on in All-Star seasons these days. And Roxy said it herself, almost definitely there's going to be a comedy challenge next. And, Angeria is funny, but I mean, if the show's going to reward someone for being funny, it's going to be Nina West because she's not going to get a badge any other way, I think. So
I'll tell you why I think it was a good decision. Who did Nina do on her fucking Snatch Game? Was it good?
She did too. She did Harvey Fierstein and what's her name? Something where starts with the W. Cindy Warehol or something?
Hillary Clinton?
No, let me look it up really quickly because now I'm annoyed that I don't remember. It's because I didn't know who that person was.
While you look it up, here's what I'm going to say. RuPaul seems to be very amused with Angeria Paris and Michaels and thinks everything she says is just the funniest fucking thing. So, if Angeria is competent on Snatch Game of Love, which I could see her being, I think she would have a good chance of winning. I don't think it was necessarily that bad of a decision. I don't know how fun. I think we've lowered the bar because I don't really know how funny Nina West really is.
Yeah, I concur. And I do still agree that Angeria was a good decision, just maybe not like the best.
Okay.
She would have been my second pick for sure.
Yeah.
I would never block Georgie because I would never trust that Georgia is going to win another challenge.
Oh, yeah. Did you find out who you were talking about?
Yeah, it was Joanne Worley.
Oh, Joanne Worley.
I know she's like old school in a way that I haven't really been exposed to, so I didn't know.
It was a good choice because RuPaul would have known who she was, and also a very easy person to do. All right. Any other thoughts, Robert? Any final thoughts on the episode?
Well, I heard Taylor say this, and I want to echo it, that I did not come to this season hyped or excited or juiced in any way. I'm like, and I don't know if it's become a point.
You look pretty juiced.
Girl, if I get on steroids, you're never talking to me again. But
is that a promise?
Just send some my way. You have my address. Okay. I think that it's not quite appointment viewing yet, but I am excited to see the next episode and continue on this little all-star journey.
Here's what I will say. I had a similar conversation with my very good friend Jeremy.
Heard of him.
Where he hasn't watched the second episode, wasn't excited to watch it. And I said, listen, here's the thing. He goes, well, how is it? I go, from a recapping standpoint, it's horrible. Okay? But from actually, I always watch it once for fun. When I watched it the first time when it was just for fun, and I was able to do other things, but it was like fun, something fun to have on the TV while I did other things. I didn't have to pay hardcore attention to it. And in that respect, it seems to be doing the job. I just don't know. The stakes aren't very high for me to have a lot to talk about on a recap show, even though we've done an hour every single time.
Well, we always talk about whatever, so I am excited for the competitive edge to return in Global All-Stars, though. I'm just going to throw that out there really early, Miss Mama. I want to recap Global All-Stars.
It's going to happen, Mama. All right. On that note, we will see you, Robert, in a couple of weeks. We will have a guest co-host next week for Rulaska Thoughts. The person's already booked.
Oh, who is it?
And you have to find out next week.
But I'm going to be busy.
And all right, well, so on that note, it's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 9. So for Roberto Mata and myself,
sashay away. Until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. This podcast was produced by Sabrina Vadabancourt. Taylor the Latte Boy has another podcast. It's called Pod Is My Co-Pilot. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Taylor on Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Batance on Instagram at Joe Batance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Alex S., Anonymous, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Deckhead, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Emma, Billsket Pony, Flying Suki, Humble Pie, Isaac Martin, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Kathy Zender, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Poppy Woods, Ricardo the Hood Edoff, Robert NYC, Sarah Yu, Runner Brandon, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, Troy Anderson, and Zach Nelson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.